Hi guys, Dorothy here, professional astrologer. You can find me on the web at nhastrologer.com. And thank you for coming and listening to this today. I'm going to talk about 2019. I'm going to do a video forecast for each of the zodiac signs. But first, I'm going to give you 5 or 6 minutes of the year overview. Take notes. And then this will be the introduction. It's going to be in front of each one of the other videos that I create. So if you watch this introduction, you can skip it in the other videos if you end up watching more than one. All right. So let's get started. We have eclipses. Capricorn and Cancer. Cancer, Capricorn, oppositions, full moons, new moons, starting in January, ending in December. 5 eclipses this year. January 5th, January 21, see if I can remember, July 2nd, July 16, December 26. You could slow that down or hit pause and listen again. Those eclipses, mainly the Cancer Capricorn. So what this is doing, the eclipses, they change zodiac signs every 18 months or so. So these eclipses with the transiting lunar nodes, they're called, that's where eclipses happen. It is helping us and ushering us into a more authentic place in who we are. What we're focusing on is our home, security, our career. Do you feel like you're being true to yourself? That Cancer eclipses especially are helping us to tap into our emotions and how secure do I feel in my home? Do I feel secure? Can I come home and be vulnerable and emotional and comfortable and relaxed? Because home life, Cancer, and the public life, Capricorn, are 2 very different things, but they are tethered by an opposition. They are, when something happens on one end of the stick, it happens on the other end, right? Because there's always 2 ends to a stick, unless you make a circle, and that's all the 12 zodiac signs. But the opposition, Cancer, Capricorn, is ushering us into this area of being authentic in how we're presenting ourselves to the world. Now, a lot of people, it will create insecurities for some people, depending on how evolved or how in alignment with what's important for you. So this Cancer stuff can make us overly emotional, or it can help us tap into how we need to be more in tune with how we feel. Because life should feel good. Life shouldn't be difficult. Difficult things happen, yes, and we move through them. We always move through them. And that's where you tap into your emotions. And that's what this eclipse stuff is all about, in Cancer especially, helping us to get in touch with who you really are. And then the opposite energy of Capricorn is about being an authority at what it is that you do, feeling authentic, feeling like you're very validating how you feel. You can take control of things, which is great if you need to, but make sure you do it from an emotional place. How do I feel about this? Great, now I can take charge. All right, this is that Cancer Capricorn energy. It's super strong this year because of the eclipses. I mean, we have this energy every year, but it's powerful. So I'm going to, in the individual videos, I'm going to talk about it. You write all those keywords down that resonated with you, and then I'm going to talk about it in each house when it happens, okay? And so you'll get the zodiac energy of it a little more specific for you, okay? What else do I want to talk about? We also have Jupiter and Neptune squaring off this year, and it's a mutable square. Jupiter in Sag loves to experience life and to learn through diving in, full immersion. Squaring Neptune in Pisces. Neptune's been in Pisces for ages, so it's not a big deal, because it's just helping us to get into a more spiritual place for a lot of people, right? But Jupiter and Neptune in a mutable square, this is just enough tension, so it gives us motivation. Just enough, because squares aren't negative, like you'll read in some books, how they just villainize squares. But we need a little bit of tension to move us, especially with the mutable signs. So to me, this is a fantastic energy for the year. Now, the mutable square between Jupiter and Neptune will inspire us to be creative, to work on our intuition, work on our spiritual practices, things like that. And the square energy of that, and you can write this down too. Let me find my notes. Here it is. January 13th, June 16th, September 21. So those 3 times is when they're exact, but they'll be playing with each other almost all year long. So that means we all have an opportunity to really tap into intuition and our spiritual and creative abilities. All right. Helps us to smooth things out. Now, some people might take this and just dive off the deep end and go into their illusion and go into a place that, you know, that if we drink too much or get into drugs. So drugs and alcohol sometimes can really, people can go off a deep end with that too. But the Capricorn, especially the Capricorn eclipses and the energy there, it definitely helps to anchor us in a little bit more, because we also have Saturn sextile Neptune this year. And with Saturn sextile Neptune, that's a fantastic anchor. I like that it's there. We actually need it because it's going to help to ground us in whatever it is we're going. So most of us don't go off a deep end into, you know, la la land. But hey, if you feel like diving in once in a while into music, I hear La La Land and I think music. You go into music, go into meditation, trust your intuition, get into painting, get into photography, whatever it is. These are the beautiful creative things we can do with Saturn sextile Neptune and the Jupiter squaring Neptune. All right, and I'll give you some more specifics in just a minute. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Hi Scorpio, let's get started right off the bat. January 5th, great day for new moon resolutions because we have a new moon eclipse on January 5th in Capricorn, in as well your 3rd house. And that 3rd house represents where we communicate, how we communicate. It's our local neighborhood and the area that we live in, we grew up in, cousins, siblings, things like that. And if you're really into what's going on in your neighborhood, you know, town meetings, being a real local politician, if you will, especially with Capricorn in there, because you want what's right to happen. Now, personally, when we have a new moon in this area of the chart, an eclipse amplifies this like 10 times since we're all lined up. The sun, the moon, and the earth are all lined up. It creates a little more of a draw and a pull. When we have this new moon energy in that sector, it is time to set goals based on your business, your career, feeling confident in your life, in the things that you're doing. All right. In regards to your 3rd house, which is neighborhood, communicating, siblings, cousins, family, in that sense. All right. You are starting a year that is all about those things. So we're needing to get into that very comfortable, but that authentic place. When we're in that authentic place, because of the other watery things that are happening, and I'll talk about them in a minute, we are able to really set goals based on what's super important for us. All right. Now, the next thing that we have going on, let me get my next chart up, is Jupiter and Neptune are making a square, and they do that 3 times this year. So I wanted to talk about it because we have so much going on with goal setting based on business and career and work and status and what I'm doing in my life. I wanted to include some of the creative things. And so Jupiter squares Neptune, and it does that January 13, June 16, September 21. And when we have these energies, this is, again, I already mentioned this in the beginning, but it's artistic, it's creative, it's very intuitive, it's very inspirational. For you, Jupiter is moving through the 2nd house, which is freaking awesome because that means the things that you love and value are expanding. You may even be taking a hobby and putting and turning it into a little more of a career or a moneymaker. It squares Neptune, which is over in that 5th house, and that represents what am I passionate about. Man, now this is a nice place for it. Out of all the ones I've done so far, I kind of like this one so far the best, because that just means you get to do something that you value, something that you love, and something that you're passionate about. We also have, at the same time, we have Saturn making a sextile to Neptune. So even though we have Jupiter and Neptune square, simultaneously Saturn sextiles it. So these three guys, Saturn's like an anchor. It's like a balloon that gets to go up and up, but it still has a tether. And that's important because that Saturn tether is in that third house of writing and communicating and all those other keywords I just said. Scroll back if you need to hear them again. So this is really important for you, that you're able to really get into some personal things here this year. It's pretty fantastic. January 21st, we have a full moon lunar eclipse. It is a super moon. It is an eclipse that we can see in the northern, the North America, a lot of the northern hemisphere can see this eclipse. So go find that if you want to look at it. That'd be kind of fun. This is at 0 degrees of Leo, and that is, do I have the right chart up? Let me take a peek. Yes, Scorpio, that's in your career sector. All right. So that means all of the Leo Aquarius eclipses we had last year, part of 2017, all of 2018, were in your career sector. This is the final eclipse in Leo. So we won't have any more in this sign for like 18 years. So if you had a lot of changes last year in your career, this is the final little applause, just giving you, it's a full moon, so you get to just a little bit of insight as to why things may have happened the way they did. All right. It's not about setting goals. Full moons are just about being made aware of what has been going on. Now, moving on to the next important thing, Uranus enters Taurus on March 6th. We're going to look back to May 17th when it did that back then as well. So all, May, half of May, June, July, parts of August, Uranus was in Taurus and it went retrograde and now it's back in Taurus. So those months that I just mentioned, and where is it? It is in the relationship sector for you. So those partnerships and relationships. So think back to May, June, July of 2018. What was shaken up? Because Uranus in Taurus is pushing boundaries, breaking old patterns. Wherever Uranus is moving through our charts is where it's important for us to not get stagnant. And if we have, it's going to shake things up. So this is really good transits for creating freedom if you're interested in that. It's not about stabilizing things. That's Saturn. Scroll back if you need to hear more on that. We also have throughout the year, we always have 3 Mercury retrogrades every year. They're not the end of the world, so nothing to be worried about. But this year, they're mainly in the water signs. So throughout the year, March, July, and looks like November, when they retrograde in the water signs. These are opportunities for us to be creative and to look at our intuition and just to get it more into a flow. But I'll talk more about that. There's too much to talk about in this forecast today. All you have to do is sign up for my weekly forecast on YouTube. So subscribe to my channel and you'll get the input on that week in and week out. All right. Next thing I want to talk about, Jupiter retrograde. Jupiter will retrograde April 10 to August 11. And that is in Sagittarius. Again, that's in your second house. So up until April, so from like November to April, November 2018 to April 2019, yes. Grow, learn. What am I doing that I love? Working on what my talents are. But then when this planet goes retrograde, it just helps us to be mindful that we're not exceeding our limits, we're not spending too much money or spreading ourselves too thin. That's what that retrograde in the second house of Jupiter is all about for you. The next retrograde we have is Saturn, April 29 to September 17, and Saturn in that third house, and it's there with all those other, all those other Capricorn-y things that have been going on with it. The retrograde of that is helping us to restructure what we've already created so far this year, and even since Saturn entered Capricorn, helping us to restructure that. All right. And it's just good because when things are retrograde, it just gives us an opportunity to assimilate the information that we've been gathering for a while. It's not necessarily the end of the world. No, it's never the end of the world. All right, moving on to the next eclipse I want to talk about, and that's July 2nd. New moon solar eclipse, 10 degrees of Cancer. That is straight across the chart from the 3rd house. It's in the 9th house. This helps you to really emotionally connect with what you want to learn about. All right, that 9th house is Jupiter's natural area, Sagittarius' natural home. So that is all about what can I explore? What am I exploring? Because I want to learn something. And since the new moon eclipse is in the sign of Cancer, that is, I'm feeling very emotional, or I need to tap into the emotion of what it is that I want to learn and expand my knowledge in. All right, that's what that eclipse is all about. The next eclipse we have is on July 16th. Let me pull that chart up. On July 16th, this is a full moon solar eclipse. This eclipse is again in Capricorn, 24 degrees of Capricorn. We do have Pluto right next to the moon that's being eclipsed. So we're being made very aware of what it is that we've been creating since January. All right, the January 5th eclipse was a new moon, so we set goals based on those things I mentioned. So scroll back again if you need to. And now that we have the full moon eclipse July 16th, this is the culmination of the last 6 months. What we get with this eclipse full moon is we get to see what it is that we've been trying to accomplish. With Saturn there, with Pluto there, we have an opportunity to really change something significant in our life. All right. This is an important eclipse right on top of that Pluto, because that's just going to be January 2020. We got a big pile up right there. So this is going to be a sensitive spot in your chart. Everybody's got 24 degrees of Capricorn somewhere. So it's a sensitive spot for everybody. For you, it's again that 3rd house area, communicating, your siblings, your cousins, your neighborhood, things, the way you want to gather information. It's all of that. Now, 2 more things to talk about. We have Jupiter moving into the sign of Capricorn, but on December 2nd, Jupiter moves into that 3rd house. Once again, you're learning all about the communication skills that you need. All right. This could just be you learning to really write a book, or taking one of those master classes and really getting that book, becoming a master of writing. Not everybody's going to do that, but that's a potential for some people. Now, the final eclipse of the year, and the last piece I'm going to talk about right now, is that new moon eclipse, the final eclipse, the 5th eclipse of 2019, and that is on December 26th, also in your 3rd house, and it is right there with Jupiter. They're all like right around 4 to 5 degrees of Capricorn. Now, Jupiter, while Jupiter's in there, it's going to expand everything, right? And make everything you've been learning and talking about and understanding since January bigger and bigger and bigger. And then this final eclipse, new moon, setting goals once again in that area. That is the area that it's just going to expand even more. So whatever it is you're doing, Scorpio, the most important thing is that you're being true, authentic to yourself and paying attention to how you feel, and then following those impulses and instincts, okay? That's one of the best things you can do, because that 3rd house is busy from start to finish of 2019. All right, thanks for watching. Comment, like, share, and come to my website and get your own personal year ahead. You know you need one. Get your year ahead, and I will see you soon. Blessings. Namaste.